Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great Friday. My name is Carlos Martinez, and today I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about the incident that happened roughly 2 years ago, and that is the George Floyd incident. For those of you who don't know what happened, George Floyd was a African-American male who one day was buying cigarettes, and however he bought those cigarettes with a fake $20 bill. The store clerk caught onto this, called the police on George, and the white male police showed up, found George, pointed a gun at him, and handcuffed him and detained him. However, they did it the wrong way. They actually, the officer put his knee onto George's neck, causing George, for difficulty of breathing. He was screaming, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." He was very claustrophobic. And this later on ended up, causing him to pass away. And, this caused a lot of ruckus throughout the year 2020 and 2021, and so on. But mostly, that year that it happened. This did implement, show signs of racism and police brutality. I didn't really want to talk about the racism side of that situation or summary of it. I wanted to take it a different approach. I wanted to take an approach of how effective technology actually is. The rise of technology and how effective it is. Because I don't actually see people talking about the bystanders that day and how they had such a huge impact. But before we get into that, I want to talk, just a little bit about the rise of technology. Technology is a part of our everyday lives. At this point, I think we could safely say we can't live without it. We have to use it every day. It's going to continue to grow. Like we can see it now with our iPhones, new things being added every year, tablets, Apple Watches, self-driving cars, etc. It's just going to continue to go up and up and up. So like I said before, the bystanders had a huge impact. When that situation was going on with George Floyd and the cop, there were many bystanders, and what do? They saw something going wrong, and they had easy access to their phone, and they started recording. What did they do after that? They stopped recording and immediately posted it on social media, which social media is continuing to grow and grow every single day. So the whole world was able to see what actually happened. And, this really takes us back, to our book, specifically chapter 1, where it talks about technological determinism. What that is basically the way of seeing technology as an independent force. And that independent force having a major impact, having a major effect. And that's exactly what happened here. I mean, you can see what happened after this, after the video was leaked. The African-American community felt they were still being mistreated, and, protests started happening, all these riots, people lost their lives, stores were being broken into. It was just a mess. The African community was just in disbelief, and, they acted upon it. So again, this really goes to show how effective technology can really be. Because let's say that that's happened back then when technology didn't really exist. There were, bystanders were there. They would have heard about it. People would have heard about it. Whether they would have read it from someone or, the word of mouth, someone telling them. I don't believe that would have had the same effect as actually seeing the death on screen. So that really goes to show the really big difference between it. It could have, really had an effect on, people actually watching it. They could have been really affected by it, and maybe that's why there were more situations going on after this death. Because like I said, this has been going on for a long time, and, protests do happen, but nothing like this. Nothing like this. People raiding the streets, a specific Black Lives Matter protest that everyone's screaming, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." Now, a question to ask yourself is, is the rise of technology necessarily, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? And to me, I think it's both. And I'm going to give you some examples why. So, the reason why it's a good thing, the first thing that popped into my head is catching criminals. I know it sounds weird, but think about it. Back then, there were not really cameras on the street. There wasn't people on the walking with a phone in their pocket. So if something went down, a crime happened, it was pretty difficult to catch someone. You can't just, now you're being recorded always. There's a camera probably on every street, every block. People walking on the streets with a cell phone on their hand, having access to catch you. So when you look at it in that perspective, I do see it having a positive effect. However, there are some bad effects. And the first thing that I, thought of was, let's say I'm practicing soccer or something and a random person has the ability to record me and they post it, and let's say it's something embarrassing. I never gave the consent to record. Now that's all over social media. Everyone's seen it. I can't delete that. Once you post something on social media, you can't go back. So that's really a bad effect. That could really have a bad effect on me. So you really have to look at it in both perspectives. If it's good, it has its pros and cons. So to sum things up, technology is going to be in our lives forever. Is it a good thing or bad thing? It all depends on how you use it at the end of the day. In terms of how it was affected with the George Floyd incident, I think it ended up being a good thing. I really do, that people were there to record it and see what actually went down. The world finally saw how bad these situations actually are. After this, police brutality and racism was definitely on people's, main topic, was people's, main focus after this. It was finally being noticed. Donations were happening to the Black Lives Matter. Equality was happening. It was definitely progress being seen. Now people are much more cautious on what they say, what they post. So overall, I do see the culture and, the overall culture in the United States, being way better, being treated way more equally. So, to sum things up, the rise of technology is going to keep going. In terms of this situation, it was definitely, I think, a plus. Thank you.